That's not good. Alright guys, so what do we have here? Now, one of the bad parts about running your own company is that inevitably something is going to go wrong. And I think that especially applies to people who do what I do, which is custom system building. Now, some of you guys might recognize this computer back from a series of videos I did about a year ago. This is Client Build 36 Leaping Lizard. Went through a couple different iterations and eventually it was sold off to a guy named Zach who does video editing. He said for the past, however long it's been, maybe 9-10 months, it's been great. He said he's had no problems. It's been working really well for him for video editing, and he says he loves it. He loves the way it looks. Everybody compliments him on it and everything like that. But something has gone wrong. And as you guys could see from the intro, it's a little weird. So what I want to do is I want to try to live blog, live vlog, live capture. I want to record the process of me trying to fix this computer and seeing if we could diagnose what the problems are. Now I have a few ideas and I have tried one thing already, but what I want you to do is go down in the video description. There's a link to a straw poll, and don't cheat. Please don't cheat. Defeats the whole purpose. You saw what the problem was. You saw what the symptoms were. Tell me what you think the issue is in the straw poll. And then when I get done with all this, we'll see if you were right. Alright, so now that you guys have all voted, hopefully, let me tell you a little bit of backstory. Zach lives in an old building that has old wiring, and he lives in a city, I don't really want to tell you where, but he lives in a city that I have lived in the past, and I know has occasional issues with electrical. When I lived in the city, there were some power surges every once in a while, and what Zach told me is he went away for like a week, and when he came back, the system was doing this. So, the first thing that I thought of, honestly, is the power supply. Maybe it got zapped with some kind of electrical surge. It's a really bizarre problem. It's probably the easiest thing to diagnose and fix, so why not try that first? I can tell you that it is not the power supply. When I went to pick the system up from him, I brought with me a new power supply, and I hooked it in, and same problem. So it's not the power supply. So what does that leave us? Well, in order of likelihood, I think it's the motherboard, the RAM, or the cable extensions. I very much doubt that it would be the graphics card just because of the way the system is behaving. Although I suppose anything that's plugged into the motherboard could potentially be a culprit. So let's throw that on the list as number 4. So let's try to diagnose this, see if we could break it down and figure out what's going on. The first step, unfortunately, because this is a liquid-cooled system, is we got to drain the loop and take it apart. Alright, so the easiest thing to test is the graphics card. Because it is not part of the loop, I was able to very easily take it out and throw it onto my test bench, and no problems at all. It booted up fine, had a good image. This is not the problem. Moving on to the next thing. Okay, so we can see that the loop is drained. I took it apart and drained out all the coolant, except for there's likely some still up in this top radiator here that I'm being very careful not to agitate, because this part of the loop over here is still intact. So even if some comes through a little bit, it should stay over there. It should be okay. And what I wanted to access was actually there. I wanted to take the memory DIMMs out. And the only way to do that was to remove the tube that ran from here down to here and then over here, because it actually was like right on top of the DIMMs. So we did that, and now we got 2 DIMMs right here. These are EVGA DDR4 modules, and the camera doesn't seem to want to show you that. Hey! So these were what was in here, and what I'm going to do now is I have 2 modules that I know to be working, which are these. Of course, they're Vengeance, and we're going to try to put these in there and see what happens. Alright, bad news. So after some testing and some actual maybe initial hope, because the system did boot, the same issue started to reappear, no matter if I had one module in, two modules in, or of either of the Vengeance or the EVGA RAM. So I very much doubt that it's the memory, and it didn't matter which slot it was in either. So this could very well be a motherboard issue. But before we assume that and go yanking out this whole section here, the next thing on my list to try is the cable extensions, because, I mean, who knows, why not try them? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to directly connect the power supply, which is down there, to the motherboard and see what happens. Check it out. I think we got it. Yeah. Come on over here. That looks like a post. Yes. Cable extensions, man. Who knew? Alright guys, we're all done with this system. Now, given the way the problem was presenting itself, it was difficult to diagnose initially, and I am interested to see how many of you guys actually guessed what the real problem was. So make sure that you, well, I guess now is too late, but hopefully you guys voted in the straw poll, and I'll take a look and see how good your guys' diagnostic skills are. But I didn't think it was the cables, but that just remember, everything that you put into your system can ultimately fail. There are no infallible parts. So when diagnosing something like this, to dismiss a part as saying that couldn't possibly be it, like I could have very easily done with the cables in here, is pretty foolish. And that's how you miss things, and that's how, you know, people throw their hands up and say, I can't fix it, what's going on? So just remember to check all your components, and I know that's very difficult for a lot of you guys who maybe don't have a second power supply to test the original, or a second set of memory to test what you have in there right now. But that's how you, unfortunately, how you have to do it. You have to go step by step, you have to eliminate things along the way, and see if you could figure out what the problem is. So yeah, cable extensions went bad. That's so strange. I have no idea. I've never had that happen before, and instead of waiting a week for a new green set of cable extensions to come in, I talked to Zach, and he said, yeah man, just put it back the way with the black cable, the original flat black cable that comes on the power supply. So it's not like it looks bad, it's not mismatched or anything, it still looks good, just no green, you know, 24-pin extension. So that's how you fix a really strange problem on a computer, and I hope you guys took a little something away from it. If you have any questions about this system, or you know how I did it or anything like that, you can let me know in the comments down below, or on Twitter at BPS_customs. But that's it guys. See you in the next video.